Yo, what's good, yo? So on this video, guys, I wanna give you some insight, right? So that you will know if you have an active pineal gland, aka third eye, or if your pineal gland is inactive. So yeah, let's get it. Now, reason number one, right? Or insight number one for you to know if your pineal gland is active, right? It's easy to notice it. You can even look You can even check with people around you, right, to see if they actually have their pineal gland by just this one thing, right? And you can check it with yourself as well because it's there. You can see it. So this is point number one, right? Your ability to realize. Understand? So your ability to realize anything, right? You can look at something, right, that is very new. You haven't seen it before, right? And if you can pay attention to that thing, considering that you have your pineal gland activated, right? When you pay attention to that thing, right? You don't know. Let me say, for example, something like a fucking device, right? A device from the aliens from outer space just falls maybe right in your yard, right? And nobody knows that there's a device that fell from outer space into your yard, right? So now you have this device, right? And your pineal gland is activated. 9 times out of 10, when you look at that device, considering that it's new to you and you haven't seen it before, you're gonna know how it operates. You can even know where it came from by just looking at it, because now your pineal gland activates your ability to realize. You understand? So people who are unable to realize, who are unable to see things for what they really are, or things how they are meant to be, right? Because some things are how they really are, and some are how they are meant to be, aka they are still in the process of morphing into the fullness of all that they should be, right? Including people. So you can even do this with people. You can look at somebody, a plain stranger, right? And you can already tell that this person, you can already tell their direction in life. But that's just obvious. But I'm talking about like spiritually, right? You can tell that okay, this person, they don't have the spirit, right? They don't have the energy to will things down or to raise their consciousness. They don't have the inclination to go towards that path. So those are the kind of people that are going to be bots all their lives, right? So now that's point number one, your ability to realize anything, to understand anything basically, and overstand it and understand it. So that's just the for me, that's the meaning of realization, is the ability to understand, overstand, and understand a situation, right? And once you are in that space where you can look at these three sides of a situation, then you can know where you want your space to, where you want your spirit to be, so that it won't be in a position whereby it won't receive good energy from other people because of other things that are blocking it. You understand? Based upon you thinking in a certain way, or you actually being in an environment that does not support whatever that you got going on. You understand? So if you find yourself around individuals who can't realize, who can't see things, who can't think beyond what is there, right? Then you know that okay, these are individuals that have their pineal glands inactive. They are not woke, just to speak it in a sense that anybody can capture it. So now over that, point number two, right? To know if your third eye, right, this is active, is your ability to calculate risk, right? Your ability to calculate risk. Look at this. You don't have to know anything, right? You don't have to know everything, or you don't have to know, let alone anything, because the reason that you are here and that you are still here is because of you knew something, right? Or you wanted to know something. So it doesn't really matter how it came about or how it comes about, but just your ability to calculate a risk, to see that okay, this is the frame of, or let alone time, this is what I want to do, right? This is the energy that's required for me to do this. And this is what, like, let me put it this way. If you have a clear thinking, right? If you have like clarity in your thoughts, if you have the ability to clearly think and to actually have a starting point, right, and a finishing point of whatever that you are thinking, right? If you can clearly think like that and visualize and see clearly and act out in your mind and make those characters act in a way that you want them to act, towards you in your mind, if you can do that clearly without any distractions, even if there are distractions, but if you have the ability to push off, which is point number 3. But now, this one, right? Your ability to calculate the risk. That's gonna determine now how wide your pineal gland has been opened, right? If you are willing to take small risks, right, then your pineal gland is only opened to a small degree. If you are willing to take larger risks, then your pineal gland is able to what? To see beyond, you understand? Or to capture or to cultivate a broader plan or an idea, right? So when you get to that space whereby you are able to capture or cultivate a broader plan, right, or capture a huge idea, then it's going to be easy for you to calculate a risk. You understand? Because you can never calculate a risk if you don't know what you're actually into, if you don't have the ability to clearly think, right? Then you won't see that point A to B, so that you can say, okay, if this is point A and this is point B, what is the measurement here, right? Because you're going to be the one to measure that length, that energy, that frequency, that vibration, so that you can then align with it and then flow towards whatever that you're thinking, right? Boom. So point number 3, right, on how to know if your pineal gland has been opened. So if you have the ability to meditate, right, and on top of that, push off thoughts, right, your ability to, if you have the ability to push off thoughts that you don't want in your mind, then you have your pineal gland open. Understand? But that's just, if I had to put it in levels, like that's like the second level, and if it's like the second level in a scale of 7 levels, right? If you are able to push off thoughts from your mind, that ability alone to chop off thoughts before they can hit you and go into your subconscious, your ability to chop them off, right, before they can even go into your feelings, then it means your pineal gland is active, right? If you are the kind of person who can meditate, if you can be without anything, which is point number 4 basically. So now our point number 4, if you are able to be still, right, or if you are able to just be, right, without touching your phone, without trying to look into a movie, without having a sense of neurosis, right, without having to think about what is external, right, even if it's just after you step out of your door, right, even if it's just your ability to just be, right, and be here, right, without doing anything for at least 10 minutes. If you can do that without doing anything completely, just relax. Let me put it that way. Your ability to relax. Because like if you were to ask me, right, what's the first law of heaven? For me, this is the first law of heaven. Relax. Just relax. Relax. 9 times out of 10, if you are the kind of person who can't relax in this body, then when you die, right, when you die, there's no way you're going to be able to go to heaven. Because heaven, what is heaven basically is a state of stillness, where everything just flows like water. You know how water in an ocean flows? It flows in the very same motion, right? In a very still motion. It's just flowing in a still motion, right? So now, if you can be still like that, right, within this body, then there's no way when you leave this body you're gonna lose that ability, right? And in fact, your subconscious is gonna gravitate towards those ideas, right? AKA this idea being one of them, right? To relax. If you can, and mind you, it's not an idea, it's an energy, it's a state, right? And everything else is a state. Even this, what we are living in, is one state. We call it a realm, we call it a planet, but it's a state, right? It's a frequency where nature is birthed, right? But it's not life. It's not the signature of life. No, the signature of life is before this, before we come here, before we even came here, there was already a signature of life coding itself in the space, in the thread of space. So now, us being here, right, it just means that we rode that thread of space that's been coded as life for us to come into this physical reality. You understand? So now that code, it never changes because we are here. And in fact, when we die, we will go to that code it's like a transportation, a form of transportation. When you go to work, you take a transportation in this kind of route, and when you go from work to home, you take a transportation and it's going to take you in this kind of route. So it's the very same thing. The very same body of water that you rode towards here is the very same one that you're going to come with, unless you realize that it's not good for you, right? And then in that instant, write a body of water that is in resonance with who you are. And then from there, other things will just fall in place. You don't even need to know who you are because it's there. It's in that body of water, right? So now, for me, and I'm gonna make it this point the last because there's a lot of ways, right, to come to this realization. And actually, point number 5 is the realization that you can have this realization. Is the realization that you can have the realization that your pineal gland is active. If you have that realization that your pineal gland is active, then it actually is active, no matter if people believe you or not. Because, like, people don't even think like that. Like, when I try to think about the kind of person that I was, I can't even get there. I can't even get near that space because I'm not in that body of water anymore. I've shifted completely, right? And I can't even perceive that because it wasn't me in general. So I'm not even, I don't have the desire. If I had the desire to go and look at it, I would, but I can't, I don't want to, you understand? Because it's not interesting. It's not something that I can get the benefits from. I've tried a lot of it. So now I know which path is my body of water, you understand? So now if you have the ability to realize, right, then you know that it's open, it's active. So now the point that I wanted to emphasize on mostly, right, is the one that about realization. Because if you can relax, because, like, think about it. There's probably 3 forms of relaxation, right? You can relax the body, right? And then you can relax the mind, and then you can relax the spirit. Understand? So when you relax the body, it's just you played a quarter of the whole equation. You have to then take it a little bit step further and relax the mind. And then take it a little bit step forward. That's why they say when you start to meditate, right, they want to teach you to anchor your attention to your body, right, to your breath, because your body is what's giving off the breath, right? So now they train you to be in tune with your body. And then once you're in tune with your body, by default, they want you to relax your body so that you won't always try to, like you're uncomfortable or something, just relax. Stop biting your nails. Stop doing all the crazy shit. Just relax. It's not hard to relax, So if you can relax, boom, and close your eyes so that you won't receive any distractions. Then, if you've mastered this, if you've mastered the posture, that's why even the Buddhists will tell you that the posture is important. Because if I'm, like, for example, I'm chilling on my bed. So now if I'm meditating like this, right, on my bed, I'm still not getting the very accurate posture that I should get, right? But when I'm chilling, when I'm on the floor, then my spine can get the right erection from the bottom right up to the brain. You understand? So there's a correct flow. There's a perfect flow. There's a very organic flow compared to if I'm like this, or if I'm sideways, or just my body's chilling on something that is like always shaking and moving. Then it means that, okay, there is a sense of stillness. But if I were to do it on the floor, then that sense of stillness, I would have to cultivate it again for the floor, right? So now, if you can train yourself to be still, just be, right, and not pay too much attention to your body and how it's reacting to the external environment. And then once you master it, by default, you're going to realize that your mind is now becoming in tune itself to the vibe that your body is already in. So now your mind is getting more calm and more relaxed and more understanding and more peaceful and more depressed. Not, let me decompressed, because I almost said depressed. It becomes more decompressed, right? Now your brain starts to relax and repair and starts to function clearly, properly. That's when now your spirit can be allowed into the temple of the God, which is our bodies, so that it can come and relax. Because no matter who you are, you will never control reality, right? If you are the president right now, you were born to be the president. It was never anybody else to be there in their position and for you to take their position. It was meant to be that way. You understand? Because if you were to move there, nobody will have the energy to capture whatever that you brought into the table as you being the president. So now, what I'm saying is basically the spirit is everything. Is not even the material. It's like let me say, this hoodie, right? The whole hoodie is the body, right? And then the hoodie itself, this hoodie that goes into my head, is the mind, right? And now we want to see what is the spirit. No, the spirit is this thread, this single thread. You see this single thread of the hoodie. this very singular thread of the hoodie. That's the spirit. Understand? This singular thread. So now, think about the first thread, right? That connects all of the threads that make up this hoodie. That's the spirit. So now, if your spirit is not relaxed, if you don't even know it, if you don't even understand it, then you will always gravitate towards other people's spirits or energies for you to actually understand who you are, right? And depending on how strong you are or how much of a spirit you've become, right? Then people might get you lost, even further away from who you are. That's why I'm saying that the only key, right, is to just relax. That's why. Let me go back to my initial point. My initial point is to say the first rule of heaven is to relax. Period. That's the thing for me. If you're not relaxed, if you can't relax in this physical body, your spirit is not relaxed by default. That's why you can't relax your body. You understand? But like I'm gonna go into detail on other videos. But now, if you can reach that level whereby now you can relax, right? Then like everything's gonna change completely. Your reality is gonna like switch completely, and then you don't even need to explain anything, right? Just understand that when the day of judgment comes for everybody else, you've already written your body of water that you're gonna write, right? So now when we die, when we all die, obviously nobody knows what's gonna happen, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, don't even explain anything. Things like that, you don't explain them, right? It's okay. Everybody has their own perspective and their everything, but you don't need to explain that. All what you can explain is what they can see, what they can understand, right? What they cannot is okay. Let them figure it out, you know. So now, say you are the kind of person who's relaxed, right? By default, when you die, when you leave this body, you're gonna go with your subconscious. Whatever that your subconscious is trained to do, or to think, or to respond to and react to, right? Knee-jerk responses and reactions. Knee-jerk. So if you are the kind of person like who's always reacting, right, physically to the things that are happening external. So if somebody bangs the door and you shake, or if you hear a hooter and then you shake, things like that, like when you die, your spirit is gonna gravitate towards that because of the attachments that you have ideally about those things, you know. So what we want, right? What we want as spirit initially is to say, okay, we're gonna detach from these things. We're just gonna experience, right? We're just gonna experience these things, and we're gonna detach from everything, aka relax, right? You don't have to fear anything. You don't have to be happy for anything. You don't have to clean. You don't have to like think or not think about anything. You just have to relax. This life is like a it's like a ride. You know, you can just chat to somebody who's next to you, but you know it's we're gonna reach to that destination. You know, you can go around telling people stories about what's gonna happen in the train. That oh, the train is gonna get an accident or whatever. What we know is that we're gonna get where we're going to, right? So it's like that. Whether it's your goals, whether it's just you trying to heal or anything, you can look at it anyhow you want, right? But like for me, those are just the ideas that I have, right, about how you can actually pinpoint if your pineal gland is active or inactive without getting lost into the information of the world, because all this information that is available is from somebody else's source, you know. So you need to find your own source. Simple. Hippie soul in the building. Mind.